So it's time to talk about Melinda and Bill Gates, both of them, because not only Melinda, who was on an interview addressing the claims that Bill Gates had STDs and he wanted to sneak these antibiotics on her food so she could, I don't know, let's say, not notice that something was wrong with her after Bill was allegedly with these Russian ladies in Epstein Island. All of that is allegedly, of course. That was embarrassing enough. But first, we need to address, before we see Melinda's reaction to the question, we're going to watch Bill Gates himself finally answering or replying or reacting to these claims of Jeffrey Epstein, because remember that the whole thing of the STDs and the antibiotics was an email that Jeffrey Epstein sent himself. There is nowhere any reference that Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates had these communications. These claims are in an email that Jeffrey Epstein sent himself. But again, let's hear it from Bill directly to see what happened.
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself.
Sorry, I'm gonna make sure that the sound is not working on one side, but I'm gonna make sure that you read the captions.
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false.
Why would you say that the email is false? You have no way of knowing that the email is false. The email could be legit, but the statement and whatever the email says is false. You can have two things. It's like the Stephen Hawking thing that we were talking about. Okay, the email was actually written by Epstein. What the email said could be phony. Two different things.
So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Okay, so I see that Bill has practiced it quite a bit. There was no stumbling. There was no change of any sort of frequency. His gestures were classic Bill Gates, gesturing with one hand, usually his right hand to one side, putting them aside. I never went to the island, and he does this like away gesture. Had nothing to do with that. He knew this question was going to pop up at any minute, and he made sure to rehearse this. And again, rehearsing, I'm gonna clarify something about here. I am not a Bill Gates fan, but rehearsing an answer, if you know that you're gonna be asked a question, rehearsing your reply is not bad in itself. In fact, if you know that the question is gonna be important, and somebody's going to ask that question, you have to rehearse that question, even if you're telling the truth. Because you want, when you state the truth, you want to sound confident, and you can get nervous. This is like, apart from Bill Gates, we know that we are no fans of Bill Gates. You already know that Bill Gates is the second most analyzed person in this channel. You already know who's the first one. But I think that he had rehearsed this, which is not bad in itself, but he made sure to not skip a bit.
Apologize that I did that.
I regret and apologize. That everyone says the same. Oh, we knew who he was, but I regret and apologize. At least Bill Gates. Bill Gates, I don't know if he has said the words, I really didn't know who the real Jeffrey Epstein was, because I think that is the most hypocritical, the most absurd alibi or something, or I don't know what is the exact word for that some people are saying. That is absurd, that you didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was.
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be.
Only thing that I could say is that when he said, I never met any women, he just lowered his voice tone just a bit. And again, Controlling our body language can be rather, quote unquote, easy to some extent. Controlling other angles of our nonverbal communication, like not the words that come out of our mouth, but the way the words come out of our mouth, that is way more difficult, especially voice tone. Especially if your heart is racing or you're nervous, controlling voice tone is much more difficult. You can remember the words that you have to say. Maybe your attorney tells you you have to say the words in the exact same way, but maybe the moment makes you have this tiny nuance of nonverbal communication. That's why I tell you it's so important to keep an eye on all this. So I think that this is the exact same, just in case there's a longer clip in here. Just in case, let's watch this.
Part of that issue of trust brings me to Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know what your relationship with him was.
Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011. So over a period of 3 years, I had a number of dinners with him.
Because it has better audio at least. Try to the spot when he says the words, "I never met any women," to see how he drops the volume a bit.
The focus was always, he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. In retrospect, that was a dead end, and I've said many times, but I'll say again, I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
Okay, that was at least that shoulder shrug right there. I regret ever knowing him. No, this was a different clip. There was a different clip. Didn't notice. But also, the circumstances and the context are important to consider. Shout out to Maze Moore. This is not AI. In 2013, the same year that Epstein wrote those emails about Bill Gates contracting an STD and trying to slip his wife drugs, Gates launched a $100,000 challenge to anyone who could make a condom that feels better to wear during sex. Yeah, this is not AI. We are not making this up. And again, the timing is impeccable.
Bill Gates is turning his focus from software to hardware. The Microsoft founder is giving a $100,000 grant to whomever can build a better condom. It's part of his Grand Challenges initiative. The goal is to make a condom that feels good enough for men around the world to want to wear it, and to therefore, very importantly, to prevent disease and unwanted pregnancy.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Memes, of course. There's always memes. It was great. Her, I bet he's thinking about other women. Him, how do I give her penicillin without her knowing? Yeah, that was what's happening. Let's switch to Melinda now. OMG, Melinda Gates asked about Epstein files and Bill Gates. Let's watch it. Let's jump right in the clip because this is this is embarrassing. And you needed to keep an eye on Melinda's face because this is body language gold. Imagine yourself in her shoes right now.
I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room at this moment. Your ex-husband, Bill, is named in the newest tranche of Epstein files. And there are a new alleged details about his past behavior. And I want to give you the opportunity to respond in whatever way you want to.
Well, let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right?
Just wanted to mention that she made not only that long pause, but when she was asked the question, keep an eye on her throat, on her neck, because she's going to swallow hard.
Alleged details about his past behavior. And I want to give you the opportunity to respond in whatever way you want to.
Okay. You see, by the way, okay. That is a quite, are you seeing what I'm seeing? That is a quite big Adam's apple, but okay, I guess nothing to see here. I was paying attention to her neck because, yeah, it jumped, but you have to, let's zoom in. Oh my God. What is this?
And I want to give you the opportunity to respond in whatever way you want to.
Okay. Make of that what you will. I don't want to get in trouble. My attorney is Jesus, no. Here comes the pause.
Well, let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right?
Okay, notice that there's very genuine. This is very interesting because she's genuinely sad. This is extremely, and I tell you, extremely hard to fake. This is perfect. And I thought at some point of drawing these lines because this is literally a T that forms in terms of wrinkles between your eyebrows. This is a legit emotion. How is it legit? The eyebrows are coming in together, closer to each other, so you have this vertical wrinkles, right? But at the same time, I know that this is going to sound crazy, but we have two sets of muscles, okay? Ones that pull the inner eyebrows down and others that pull the inner eyebrows up. Those two are going to be contracted at the same time. So a lot of happening here. That's how through sadness it's projected. And that's why you will get not only this vertical wrinkles that you see here, but at the same time, you're going to see these horizontal wrinkles because it's not only that they are getting together, because it's like my perma wrinkles right here. Okay, this ones that I have. It's not like my perma wrinkles, but it's also the horizontal ones when we raise our eyebrows. So both things have to happen at the same time. And of course, when that happens, you're going to see that also the eyebrows have this angle to them. So that's when I spot them. Okay, this is legit. This is real. This is a real and genuine emotion of sadness and pain. It's actually sadness and pain. Now, we don't know if the sadness and pain is because of the girls or because of herself, what she had to go through her marriage. That is a possibility as well. By the way, so many of you are mentioning that what we saw in her neck could be her thyroid gland. Any problem with her thyroid gland? That is a possibility. I never thought of that. Thanks for pointing that out. We can continue. It was important to spot that genuine emotion.
I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So
this is how you see that this is not something that she does all the time. She doesn't appear to have any sort of Botox, because you see the traces of those wrinkles. And her face goes to a relaxed state, and we saw that in a completely contracted state of true and genuine sadness. That was interesting to watch.
For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away, and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Notice that she had this long blink, was a really long blink, in which she was talking about her husband, and a long blink usually means that you want to evade yourself from the question, not because you're guilty of anything, but maybe you don't like the topic, you don't want to be there. Notice how she closes her eyes. It's more than a long blink. She literally closes her eyes for several seconds.
Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
She is... It is obvious that Melinda Gates is a great communicator. Notice how she uses her body in a dynamic way to like push everything away. It's like the way that Bill Gates does it in, let's say, how to say this, just with his hand. She does it with her whole body, as in she wants to convey what she's saying. She wants people to understand that she has nothing to do with any of that, especially with anything that Bill did. So she really wants people. She is not afraid to address this. This is painful for her. I can tell. It should be really embarrassing, but I think that she's doing a great job at communicating the actual status. And I can guess that putting her space and distancing herself from all this is going to make her real happy. Some of you in the comments are saying that, but she is donating. She's like Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, donating all the stuff to walks. Well, you can't win all the time. You can win all the time, but at least she is free from him. She is free from him. You're spot on. Happy 1804. She is free of him. We continue.
Yeah.
That it was there.
I have to put more words to the muck for context for our listeners.
Yeah, we need the clicks. So here goes the other question.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection.
You notice that when she went for the second question, Melinda knew what kind of second question they were talking about, and that's why she pressed her lips that way. And yeah. Oh my God. Here comes the question about the thing that should not be named. But well, I'm here. This is I married this weirdo. I have to go through it.
He's had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right?
Well, right now she's talking about sadness, but she doesn't notice that there's not the same emotion right now. Okay, the emotion is totally the opposite. She's happy, like not having to deal with any of that, I guess. But because you saw the genuine sadness before, and right now, no, this is not sadness. Notice that there is no vertical wrinkles between her brows. Notice there's way more horizontal wrinkles in her forehead, so this is a completely different emotion. This has nothing to do with sadness. She is hiding it very well, but she didn't think that she needed to hide it when she was talking about the girls. But again, in general, I think that she is really embarrassed, and she doesn't like being in this situation.
And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right?
Okay, so it's interesting that notice the wording, because the wording is important. Because Bill Gates made sure to say, I did not meet any women. But what is the word that Melinda Gates uses? She uses the word girls. But you're going to tell me that is not interesting. Those girls. She could have used the word women. But no, she made sure to use the word girls. Because, women would have sounded a bit less incriminating, less bad for Bill. But no, she went she plunged the knife.
And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up and
She reinforces saying the words, those now women, to reinforce the fact that back in the day, when they're hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and possibly Bill Gates, those were girls. Because the question was not about Jeffrey Epstein precisely, but about Bill.
on microphones in D.C. What they went through is just unimaginable, I think.
Well, some of you in the comments are saying that she is not a victim. She's pretending to be a victim. But I could say that I'm not going to justify everything that Melinda Gates has done or what she is doing. But I do know if you put Melinda Gates next to Bill Gates, then Melinda Gates is going to look good. If you put most people next to Bill Gates, they're going to look good. So I think that we could consider that. But I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy. Much love and bliss.